Get that mic on? You good? All right, we're going to start in just a minute from now, so if you could please come in and take your seats. Thank you very much. Januzzi, ECS, Executive Director and CEO, and it is my very great pleasure to welcome all of you, whether you're here on site in beautiful Gothenburg, Sweden, or joining us via video stream from somewhere else in the world, to this, the 244th ECS meeting. This meeting carries forward ECS's legacy of outstanding technical content. We have 48 symposia with over 3,400 abstracts, all coming from 64 countries around the globe. With numbers like these, it is clear to see that if your interests are in the fields of electrochemistry and solid-state science, you will find what you're looking for here in Gothenburg. We kicked off the meeting yesterday with an amazing salsa-fueled opening reception and a lovely event held exclusively for ECS members. But of course, we also welcome all those in attendance who've not yet had a chance to become ECS members. We hope that you will consider joining the Society so that we can see you at our next members-only event, which will be taking place at the spring meeting in 2024 in San Francisco, California. In the meantime, please do let us know if there's anything we can do to help you make the most of your experience here at this meeting. You know, ECS is incredibly fortunate to have a diverse array of general meeting sponsors shown here who help bring these events to us. We are very grateful, too, to our symposia sponsors. Seen here are our platinum and gold sponsors, the U.S. Office of Naval Research and Gelest Inc. of Mitsubishi Chemical. It is only through these sponsors' support that we can offer the robust technical program and enriching special events that you'll find here at the meeting. I want to give a warm welcome, too, to our institutional members who support ECS through their annual organization's membership, participation in our meetings, and engagement with our publications. And it would simply be impossible to produce these meetings without ECS's divisions and sections. They are a vital source of technical know-how, brilliance, and financial support that drive our conferences and make them the outstanding events that they are. But it has been quite a long time since ECS held a biannual meeting on the European continent. In fact, the last time we were here was in 2009 in Vienna. And this meeting marks a triumphant return to the continent, being that this is the largest meeting, apart from the joint prime meetings that we host, that ECS has ever sponsored and managed in our 121-year legacy. That's quite an achievement, so we're really excited to be here in Europe. And of course, special thanks are due to the ECS European section for their incredible efforts to engage the local community and for organizing the Z03 Symposium, Young Researchers in Europe, which featured over 100 lightning talks from emerging researchers on the continent. I was fortunate enough to host an event here in Gothenburg several years ago, and I have been longing to return to this city ever since. And when the board of directors of ECS expressed their desire to host a meeting in Europe, Gothenburg was our first and final choice in that discussion. And after spending time here this week, I'm quite confident that you'll understand why. And 2023 is a special year for our host city, being that this is the celebration of its 400th anniversary. And to commemorate that incredible achievement and share his thoughts on his wonderful fair city, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Lord Mayor of Gothenburg, Aslan Akbas, to the podium at this time. Lord Mayor, won't you join us, please?
Distinguished guests, estimated research, ladies and gentlemen, participants from all around the world. On behalf of the city, I wish you all a warm welcome to Gothenburg, the best coast of Sweden. Gothenburg is a city of warmth. It is a green and close city with nothing is far away. A sustainable city open to the world. a city with rich industry and culture heritage, home to workers, engineers, and entrepreneurs. Gothenburg was founded for over 400 years ago in 1621 and was built and organized by the Dutch, the Germans, and the Scots. Gothenburg has since then undergone an exciting journey, embracing people, influences, and ideas from all around the world. And during recent years, Gothenburg has developed into a world-leading destination for sustainable meetings. I want to take the opportunity to say how much we, as a city, value and appreciate meetings such as this one, where we can show the prosperity and diversity of our city and region. Gothenburg, with its rich history, vibrant culture, world-leading gastronomy, innovation, research, and scientific excellence. And we are pleased to be hosting ECS and to welcome so many people from across Europe and the rest of the world. This gathering marks another milestone in the rich history of the ECS, an organization committed to advance the understanding and application of electrochemical science and technology. Your meetings provide an invaluable platform for scientists, engineers, and professionals to exchange ideas, present cutting-edge research, and foster collaborations that drive innovation. Gothenburg, with its rich maritime heritage and a cityscape that seamlessly blends the old and the new, serves as an ideal backdrop for this meeting. Throughout this meeting, you will have the opportunity to engage with leading experts and participate in discussions that will shape the future of electrochemistry and solid-state science. Encourage you all to network, share your ideas, and build meaningful connection with your college. The ECS meetings is not just about learn from the another, it's about forging lost in real relationship that will drive progress long after this event concludes. And I hope you will enjoy your stay and that you will have time to explore our city and region while you are here. And now we will show you a short film about our city. Thank you.
Gothenburg, Sweden, the port of Scandinavia. Founded in 1621, it was literally built by the Dutch, and ever since, the basis of our city has been built on knowledge and ideas from all over the world. Today, the Gothenburg region and its 1 million inhabitants is about to take its greatest leap forward in modern history. By 2035, 100 billion euros will be invested in the region, and as business and commerce is expanding, the city is also set to grow by almost a third. Together we've come a long way, creating world-class science in everything from medical research to developments in the transport industry, as well as pioneering new technologies like graphene. But change like this doesn't come for free. That's why we're investing in innovations for an even more sustainable future. Welcome to Gothenburg, a city of innovation, a sustainable city open to the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and congratulations again on your city's incredible 400th anniversary. And now, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce Professor and Whitaker Endowed Chair in Sustainable Energy at Texas Tech and the founder and director of CASFER, the National Science Foundation for Advancing Sustainable and Distributed Fertilizer Production, Geraldine Bote. Madam President, the floor is yours.
Wow. Thank you, Chris. And welcome everyone to the 244th ECS meeting in the beautiful city of Gothenburg, Sweden. How thrilling it is to me to be my first meeting as president of this amazing society and to see many friends, colleagues, mentors, students, and with over 3,400 attendees, many new faces to the ECS community. I have been a proud member of the Electrochemical Society since 1998 when I was a student, as many that I've seen in the last 2 days here. And I became a fellow in 2014. My roots with the society are very deep, starting from my career earliest days to where I am now, a professor at Texas Tech, specializing in sustainability and circular economies. And as founder and director of CASFER, I lead an organization striving to revolutionize agriculture through the integration of electrochemical processes to enable sustainable food production globally, one of humankind's most pressing problems. As president, I am built on our past and recent successes to inspire a broader awareness and understanding of electrochemical technologies' critical role in making positive change in our world. Alongside the battery technologies powering our mobile devices and the growing fleet of emission-free vehicles, electrochemical science and engineering advances are crucial to developing fuel cells and hydrogen power, as well as a myriad of novel materials, sensors, processes, and devices for applications ranging from manufacturing of chemicals through healthcare. We must increase awareness of electrochemistry and solid-state science impact on solving the grand challenges facing our planet. Together, we can safeguard the environment and deliver the next generation of materials, processes, and biomedical innovations. This is what I like to call ECS towards sustainability. This is a bold agenda to accomplish in a single year. Fortunately, I am not starting from square one. Rather, I am continuing the incredible work of those who became before me. I am grateful to all my predecessors, many of whom are here today with us. I especially appreciate immediate Vice President, Turgut Gur. You have done to the Society and the Office of the ECS President proud. Your passion and dedication to advancing the Society's mission inspires all of us. We are grateful for your outstanding leadership and service. But ECS members have unprecedented opportunities given our technology's central role in addressing the planet's sustainability challenges. Together, we can make a difference. Therefore, I will briefly share with you two major presidential initiatives that I am proud to have launched. The first one is forming the ECS Presidential Ad Hoc Committee on Sustainability. This group's goal is to collage our collective knowledge in the electrochemical and solid-state sciences to address sustainability, which is the equitable balance between environmental, social, and economic forces. For example, how can we leverage electrochemical technologies to provide clean water and renewable energy sources, to protect our environment and prevent climate change, and to support ecological, human, and economic health and vitality? Under Vice President Jean Fenton's leadership, This committee is already working on answering that question and chartering ECS course to become the leading organization creating and disseminating critical scientific content on sustainability. And the initiative that I hope will be the cornerstone of my presidency is forming the ECS Presidential Ad Hoc Committee on Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Engagement. Diversity is our strength. It fuels innovation, enhances collaboration, enables our best accomplishments, and brings us closer to the communities we serve. Chaired by IEEE Division Secretary and Treasurer, Elizabeth Wittinger, this Essentials Committee's immediate charge is to recommend mechanisms for ensuring diversity, representation in the society's governance structure, to create a grant recognition program to engage students, faculties, postdocs, and researchers from minority-serving institutions and from groups traditionally underrepresented in our society, and to make recommendations for increasing diversity, equity, inclusion, and engagement within the society. Alongside this committee's work, I will continue expanding ECS' international presence to ensure that we welcome all voices into the ECS community. In fact, immediately following this meeting, I will deliver the keynote address at the Mexican Electrochemical Society Annual Conference. Then I will travel to colleges and universities in the region to inspire faculty and local scientists to engage with ECS and to establish ECS student chapters in Central and South America. The objective is to bring this region's experiences into the society and allow scientists from around the world to take an active role in ECS activities. To advance our sustainability and diversity goals, we must inspire and nurture the next generation of scientists, engineers, and researchers. ECS student chapters are key to achieving this objective. I call on each of you here, if your institution does not have a student chapter, please visit the ECS booth in the exhibit hall and learn how to start one. ECS not only provides all student chapters free membership, it also allocates up to $1,000 per year to support your very, very cool activities of the chapter. It is really an amazing program that we actively want to expand. Please start a chapter at your institution and help advance ECS vision and mission to make the world a better place for humanity. Finally, I would like to close with this slide that you can see, illustrating our audience's diversity. Over 60 countries are represented at this meeting. And I really, really wish I had the time to say thank you in all these languages representing the countries that we have today. And now all we can say is, muchas gracias y disfruten la conferencia. While this meeting is about looking forward, we're also here to recognize our community's accomplishments, honor our members' contributions, and to celebrate. Therefore, we will now move on to the ECS Award and Recognition Ceremony. In addition to this year's awardees, we will also be joined by previous winners who, due to the pandemic shutdown, have not yet been publicly recognized for their outstanding achievements. But first, I would like to congratulate our division and section award winners, whom you will find listed both online and in the meeting program. Please make a point to attend their sessions, where you can experience firsthand why they are being recognized by their peers for their technical contributions. Our first award is the Leadership Circle Award, which recognizes and thanks our institutional partners. This award is granted in the year a member institution reaches a significant anniversary milestone. Today, we recognize Cummins, Inc. for their 5 years of institutional membership and dedication to the Electrochemical Society. Here to receive the award is John St. Pierre, Technical Advisor at Cummins. Thanks very much, Sean, and to Cummins for their continued support and engagement. And now, I would like to ask ECS Senior Vice President Colin O'Dwyer to come to the stage to recognize our next recipients.
Thank you, Jerry. The 13 divisions of ECS ensure in-depth coverage of the Society's broad technical domain. Over the course of their 2-year terms, division chairs not only oversee all affairs of their respective divisions, but they also provide stewardship at the Society level by serving on our board of directors. As part of that board, these chairs help to shape the future of our organization, and so we're truly indebted to them for their service. So please join me in recognizing the following past division chairs. Paul Gannon, High Temperature Energy Materials and Processes Division Chair, 2019 to 2021. Jennifer Height, Electronics and Photonics Division Chair, 2021 to 2022. And Jamie Knoll, Corrosion Division Chair, 2020 to 2022. Please join me in a round of applause to thank our past division chairs for their service to ECS. And now we'll recognize a member who has served in the executive leadership of ECS throughout his work as an ECS Society officer. We would like to recognize the 2022 to 2023 ECS President Turgut Gur for his commitment, dedication, and visionary leadership of the Society. Turgut, the Society officers offer our sincerest thanks to you. It was our honor serving with you.
My pleasure.
The distinction of Fellow of the Electrochemical Society recognizes advanced individual technological contributions in the field of electrochemical and solid-state science and technology, as well as active membership and involvement in the affairs of ECS. We're still catching up with public recognition of fellows due to the pandemic, and so we're really pleased today to be joined by fellows from the recent past and as well as from this year's class. So from the 2020 class of ECS fellows, please welcome Shekhar Bansali, Florida International University, for his pioneering contributions in areas of electrochemical sensor and service to ECS. Rosa Palacín, Institut de Ciencias de Materials de Barcelona, for outstanding and impacting contributions to lithium, sodium, and calcium-ion batteries, and for service to the Society. Congratulations, Shekhar and Rosa. And now we recognize members of the 2023 class of ECS Fellows. Jeffrey Blackburn, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, for contributions to redox chemistry, charge transfer and transport, and dynamic photoelectrochemical processes in single-wall carbon nanotubes and other low-dimensional materials. Teruhisa Horita, National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, for his significant contributions to solid oxide fuel cell research and development and service to ECS and the electrochemistry community. Po Tsun Liu, National Yangming Chiao Tung University, for significant contributions to technical advances in electronics and optoelectronics, including novel semiconductor materials. Robert Mance, United States Army Research Office, for outstanding contributions to the society and his great impact on the electrochemical community through his own fundamental research and fostering and funding other scientists' research. John Muldoon, Toyota Research Institute of North America, for his pioneering work in beyond lithium-ion batteries, including the creation of novel electrolytes and cathode materials for multivalent and lithium-sulfur systems. Michael Osling from KTH Royal Institute of Technology for seminal contributions to semiconductor device technology and entrepreneurship. Brian Pivovar, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, for technical contributions in the areas of fuel cells and electrolyzers and global leadership in the promotion and adoption of hydrogen as a carbon-free energy carrier. Minhua Xiao, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, for his outstanding achievements in fundamental understanding in electrocatalysis and materials design and synthesis for electrochemical energy conversion and storage devices. Peter Strasser, Technische Universität Berlin, for his formative contributions to the science of oxygen electrocatalysis and to our mechanistic understanding of catalytic CO2 electroreduction. Alice Seroik, Berry College School of Mathematical and Natural Sciences, for outstanding contributions to the society, teaching and research, as well as developing exciting new professional development opportunities. And Bilge Yildiz, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for outstanding contributions to understanding and controlling ionic defects, charge transport, and catalysis at electrochemical mechanically coupled oxide interfaces. To the members of the 2020 and the 2023 classes, it's the Society's honor to welcome you as Fellows of the Electrochemical Society. Congratulations all.
Thank you very much, Colin, and congratulations again to all our fellows. The next award is the 2023-2024 ECS Toyota Investigator Fellowships. Each Young Investigator Fellow receives a one-year $50,000 grant to pursue innovative research in electrochemical and green energy technologies. With this year's recipients, we celebrate that ECS Toyota partnership has now provided over $1.5 million to support young professionals and scholars. Please join me in congratulating this year's two ECS Toyota Young Investigator Fellows. John Scheinbai from Oak Ridge National Laboratory, who is unable to join us today, and Joshua Lee from the University of California, Los Angeles. Be sure to join us for Prime 2024, the meeting in Hawaii next October. These young investigators will present their groundbreaking research. And also, please note that application submission for the next year's Young Investigator Fellowships opens in November and closes on January 31st, 2024. The Alan J. Barr Award in Electrochemical Science was established in 2013 to recognize distinguished contributions to electrochemical science. The 2021 Alan J. Barr Award recipient is Mark Cooper of Leiden Institute of Physics for his contributions to tackling fundamental problems in surface electrochemistry and electrocatalysis. Professor Cooper gave his award talk, Electrochemistry of Platinum, New Views on an Old Problem, at the 239th ECS meeting in June of 2021. Congratulations, Mark. The Carl Wagner Memorial Award was established in 1980 to recognize mid-career achievement excellence in research areas of interest of the society and significant contributions in the teaching or guidance of students or colleagues in education, industry, or government. The 2023 recipient of the Carl Wagner Memorial Award is Peter Strasser from Technical University Berlin for his formative contributions to the science of oxygen electrocatalysis. Please be sure to attend Professor Strasser's award talk, Free Electrons to Molecular Bonds and Back, the Dark Side of Solar Fuel and Chemicals. This will take place on Tuesday at 5 p.m. in room F6. Congratulations, Peter. The next society award is the All-in Palladium Award, which was established in 1950 for distinguished contributions to the field of electrochemical or corrosion science. The 2023 winner of the All-in Palladium Award is Jeff Dan of Dalhousie University for his enduring contributions to lithium and lithium-ion battery science and technology and advancement of all aspects of battery development. Professor Dan's award talk, Our Path to Long-Life Lithium-Ion and Sodium-Ion Cells, is on Tuesday at 11 in room A4. Be sure to attend. Congratulations, Jeff. Well, and congratulations one more time to all our Today Award recipients and service recognition honorees. Thank you all for your contributions to the science and to the society. This concludes the ECS Awards and Recognition Ceremony, and it is time to move into the ECS Plenary Lecture. Our speaker today is Shannon Bao, the K.K. Lee Professor of Chemical Engineering and Director of the Wearable Electronics Initiative at Stanford. Professor Bao received her PhD in chemistry from the University of Chicago in 1995, then worked as a distinguished member of technical staff at Bell Labs Lucent Technologies from 1995 to 2004. She joined Stanford in 2004 and served as Department Chair of Chemical Engineering from 2018 to 2022. Professor Bao has close to 700 referee publications and over 80 US patents. She has received numerous awards and is a member of the National Academy of Engineering, American Academy of Arts and Science, and the National Academy of Inventors. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Shannon Bao and her talk, Skin-Inspired Materials for Sensing Soft Integrated Circuits and Next-Generation Batteries.
Thanks, Jerry, for the extremely kind introduction, and congratulations to all the award recipients. It's truly an honor to be standing here to speak to you. I'd like to thank the ECS for the invitation to be here. So today, I'd like to basically take you through a little bit of the journey we have gone through and to share the vision that we have for future of electronics. But before I do that, I'd like to first acknowledge the contribution from all the group members. This is my current group, but many past members, and also many collaborators from different disciplines for their help and also for teaching us new knowledge in different areas that we were not, or I was not originally trained for, and of course funding support. And I will acknowledge the students and postdoc who did the work throughout my talk. So I was trained as a chemist, polymer chemist specifically. So when I think about designing materials, I was very inspired by human skin, specifically by the materials property. Human skin is not only flexible, but also stretchable, biodegradable, and self-healable. And these are properties that our current electronics do not yet have. So we were thinking about there's a great need for future electronics to take a new form, because the current electronics, they either do not provide the information that's needed, or they do not interface with human body readily and non-invasively. So if we think about human health, it's basically a large system that is operated through the communication between various electrical signal and chemical signal that really regulate each other to regulate our human health. But current technology is very good at diagnose one particular disease, or if there's a symptom happening, then we can determine where that symptom happens, and then there's a treatment to suppress that symptom. But then even if the pain may be happening at one particular organ, but the origin may actually come from a completely different part of the body. So as a result, if we're able to understand how different signals regulate each other, then potentially it can provide us new information about human health and develop a new treatment method. So we would want to develop tools that can understand or sense such information at a cellular level, basically tens of micron resolution, but they have to be spread over a large area. So you may say that, well, current silicon technology is already very well developed. You can integrate millions of transistors, billions of transistors, and many, many sensors all into a very, very tiny region. You can implant them. Yes, in particular, that's the advantage of silicon technology. That is, it's very, very good in measuring information at high resolution in a very, very localized region. So that's what's the current paradigm of sensing systems. That is the signal conditioning, signal processing circuits. They all are coming from silicon. Sensors can be made to be soft and stretchy, but the soft and rigid, they cannot be combined together, so they have to be separated. As a result, sensors are separated from the rigid components, and these sensors, they cannot really spread over large area because the tiny signal, especially if we're interested in cellular level resolution of signal, then if they have to transmit over long distance, that will, the signal to noise level will be significantly decreased. So as a result, you can get a few sensors very closely placed to the rigid components, and you can indeed make patches that can measure information. But that's not nearly as sufficient as if we want to really fully understand human health. But on the other hand, if we look at our human skin, the way we're able to experience external environment is because we have mechanoreceptors. They respond to external stimuli, but then immediately the mechanoreceptor will convert the signal from either pressure or temperature or vibration into action potentials. Basically, these are frequency signal and transmit as spike trains through our nerve system to get to the brain. And these signals also, have you ever wondered that, well, we have millions of mechanoreceptors, why we're able to respond to information or the sense when touching something so quickly? That's because not each sensor is wired to our brain. The information actually gets combined at synaptic junction. And then it's the pattern of these frequency signal that gets to our brain that we immediately immediately recognize the pattern instead of sensing each mechanoreceptor and then try to process the signal. So all of these are ways that our human skin sense information and transmit information. That's something that we can learn from the skin, in addition to the material's properties. So we envisioned that if we're able to do so, to make future electronics to be like skin, having the sensing functionality and also signal processing functionalities similar as skin, then potentially we can enable a new generation of electronics that's comfortable, imperceptible, invisible, and also compatible with human body. That is, whether we implant them or wear them on the human body, we will not even know that they existed, but they automatically will collect the information that's of interest. So that's the electronic skin that we envision. Basically, it's a sensing system that perform all the functions similar to human skin, and we hope to use this to put on robotic surface or the surface of building, the environment, the cars, but more importantly, to use for human health, understanding human health, and also treatment of diseases. So I just went through the motivation very quickly, and in this talk, I will specifically talk about three aspects. So one is about sensor development, the electrophysiological sensors and electrochemical sensors. I will talk about developing integrated circuits, because that's the important part to be combined with sensors so that we can make the signal processing similar as human skin. And then finally, with the materials development, it actually promoted us to look at how these materials can be applied in other areas. And specifically, we found that in the battery area, there are unique opportunities actually for skin-inspired materials. So I'll give some examples related to that. Of course, when you think about skin, the first thing you think about is sense of touch. That was the initial work we actually started in this field, which is to develop a pressure sensor that can sense gentle touch of using artificial skin that even exceed the sensitivity of human skin, basically based on this pyramid structure. I'm very pleased that actually just a week ago, our first product based on soft electronic skin using the first version of sensor that we developed with capacitive sensing actually received FDA approval for baby continuous blood pressure monitoring. Of course, it's all, the product development was all headed by my co-founder, CEO, Dr. Zina Kwon, and the team at Premise, which I co-founded. But I'm very excited that now there will be a first product with electronic skin that will be in the hospital. It's not going to be a consumer product. It will be in the hospital to be used in intensive care. But pressure sensor is not what I'm going to be focusing on. Pressure sensing is one of the sensing. That's the straightforward link to the human skin. But different kinds of sensors can all be part of the electronic system. The electrophysiology recording is extremely important for us to be able to understand the movement of our body from the muscle, that's the EMG signal, the brain, how brain is processing information, that's through the EEG signal, as well as the heart, ECG signal. And all these signals are through throughout our body. But currently, the measurement tools that are used for such measurement, they're very bulky, and the size of the electrodes have to be very large, and they are not able to collect signal while not causing inconvenience to the human or not being non-invasive. There are a variety of different probes that have been developed for measuring in high resolution, but you can see those are either metal probes that are needle-like, that have to poke through the tissue and can potentially cause damage, and also the scar tissue formation will reduce the signal to noise level. And more recently, there are starting to be some soft and flexible electrode arrays being developed. But in that case, metal electrodes are being used. But there is a significant drawback to the metal electrodes. That is, the impedance between the metal electrodes and the tissue tends to be very high, especially at lower frequency, the frequency below kilohertz range, which is the range of frequency of interest for EMG, EEG, and ECG. They are all signal that are at below 1 kilohertz. But on the other hand, with conducting polymer, actually soft electronics, they actually have advantages here. That is because such materials tend to have large surface area and also can have transport of ions. So as a result, if you look at the equivalent circuit, there's a large capacitive component with soft materials. So as a result, the impedance at a lower frequency is actually much lower compared to that metal. So the consequence is that if we use conducting polymer as the electrode interface, then they would reduce the increase the signal to noise level if you use the same size of electrode. On the other hand, we can also shrink the size of the electrode to measure single cell level resolution without losing too much signal. And also, on the other hand, with the large capacitive term here, component in these materials, then they can also store a large amount of charge. So for electrical stimulation, they can also put out more charges in these materials. So for when we stimulate, whether the nerve here, we're using these electrodes to stimulate the sciatic nerve of the mouse. And then we compare the voltage needed and the amount of lag movement that's generated using the stimulation. And then you can see with the conducting polymer electrode, we can use lower voltage to generate similar lag movement, or almost 10 times the lower voltage required to generate similar movement. So that means potentially it can cause less tissue damage when used for electrical stimulation. So there are both advantages. But on the other hand, the current conducting polymers, they are either not soft, not stretchable. They are, even though they are polymers, actually a lot of the polymers, the modulus are in the gigapascal range or even close to terapascal. And the soft ones are not very conductive. Then we don't get the benefit of both worlds. So the challenge is really to develop conductive polymers that are stretchy and also low modulus and high electrical conductivity. So one concept that we used to overcome this challenge is to design suitable molecules to incorporate a dual network in the polymer. So we have the network that's already the conducting polymer, but just the conducting polymer itself, if we don't tune them to have the right morphology, if they take the spherical morphology, spherical particle-like morphology, they don't conduct electricity well because you need many, many particle-to-particle junctions in order to conduct electricity. So we need to induce the morphology to form this nano-confined nanofiber structure. So to do that, we will incorporate a polymer, the PEG polymer that's used for ionic conductor very commonly. But PEG, in this case, similar as for ionic conductors, the crystallization is undesirable. The crystallization will make a rigid, brittle polymer matrix, and then we would not get the stretchability. So in order to overcome the crystallization issue, we thread the polymer with these rotexine molecules because they prevent the polymer to get close to each other to prevent crystallization. But on the other hand, we have many handles. We can incorporate cross-linkable groups so that we can make another network that's stretchy to hold the fibers of the conducting polymer. So as a result, we have both extremely high electrical conductivity, several thousand Siemens per centimeter, similar to indium tin oxide level of conductivity, but it's stretchable to 100% strain that we can utilize. So using this, then we can start making high-resolution electrode arrays. So this is a soft array that we were able to place or implant in the brainstem region, which is shown in the figure. That's where the spinal cord and the brain intersect. In that region, the constant neck movement will cause damage cause damage to the brain tissue if there's anything rigid to be placed there. So on the right side, you see the histology image. One image is with the soft array with low modulus. On the right side, we use a plastic substrate. A plastic substrate typically have gigapascal of modulus, and you see the plastic substrate actually cuts into the tissue very quickly. Even just right after the implantation, we notice the damage to the brain almost right away. So that highlights the importance of having low modulus. Then moving from electrical physiological sensing, that's one very important sensing parameter we would like to achieve in our sensing system because of its relevance to understand human health. Another type of sensor that's of interest, of course, broadly, there are many chemical sensors and biochemical sensors will be of interest, but in particular, the neurochemical sensing is very important in both regulating our brain as well as the brain will regulate our different organs, including the stomach, the intestine. But on the other hand, neurochemicals, actually more than 95% of the serotonin is generated in our guts, and that in turn can regulate our brain. So being able to measure neurochemicals reliably and selectively is very important. And previously, the carbon fiber has already been used for measure neurochemicals, and also there are groups using carbon nanotubes and other materials to measure neurochemicals. But if you look at the carbon fiber, it's still very rigid, and you can only have one sensor per carbon fiber, so it's not possible to get information from the depths of the brain and also over different regions of the brain. And on the other hand, our intestine actually is very soft and constantly moving around. So it's hard to imagine having such a rigid probe to be probing into the intestine. So the solution we developed is this electrochemical sensor. Basically, the sensor detects the serotonin or dopamine using electrochemistry, oxidative reaction, and then we can see the peaks of oxidation potential that's depending on different species being sensed, then they have a corresponding electrochemical oxidation potential. But to make it to make the sensor sensitive and also selective, we found that introducing catalytic sites are very important. We introduce these iron oxide type of catalytic site by first mixing them into the precursor into a polymer, and then this polymer was subsequently converted into this very high surface area graphene using laser carbonization. And then we embed these graphene into an elastomer so that we can have an elastic sensor that can have multi-arrays of these sensors with high sensitivity. And a number of different neurochemicals that are of interest can be sensed, and also their oxidation potential can be differentiated depending on what kind of chemicals they are. And it's important to be able to show that such sensors can selectively sense the dopamine versus the serotonin. So in order to do that, we use the mouse that has been undergoing treatment with a particular drug that will change the serotonin uptake time scale. So then we did use optogenetic stimulation to stimulate the mouse so that then we can measure both the dopamine and serotonin separately. And then we observed different dynamics for the decaying of these two different kinds of neurochemicals, indicating that our sensor indeed can sense in vivo selectively. And these sensors were able to be implanted for multiple weeks and still be able to sense these chemicals. So this is the experiment that we are most excited about, because this is the first time that the neural probe is placed both in the brain and also in the intestine of a weak mouse. This mouse is not under anesthesia. And in this case, it's only possible because the probes that's inserted, especially in the intestine, is a soft probe. Otherwise, anything slightly rigid will cause discomfort, and it's not possible for the mouse to behave normally. And then we train the mouse so that the mouse knows that chocolate is something this mouse likes. And as soon as the mouse sees chocolate, we were able to detect a spike of dopamine. And then after the mouse eats the chocolate, the serotonin is incorporated into the chocolate. And then once it arrives at the intestine, then we were able to measure the arrival of the serotonin. So this is the first such experiment showing the feasibility. Next, we are working on trying to understand the regulation between the intestine, the gut serotonin generation and the brain with neuroscientist collaborators. So now I touched upon a little bit about the sensor. Then I want to move to the integrated circuit part, because just having the sensor is not enough. It gives us analog signal, and the analog signal needs to be digitized and also amplified immediately after sensing so that we won't lose the signal. So that means these integrated circuits also have to be to take the skin-like form factor that is being stretchable. And for a long time, we have been challenged by this issue because the materials we use, they are either very electrically conductive but not stretchable, or vice versa. But an important discovery was made a few years ago when we found that when we actually put two polymer matrix together, if we want stretchability, we add this stretchable polymer. But normally, if you mix a conductive component with an insulative component, then you would expect the electrical performance will go down because you diluted the matrix. Also, the insulating component may get in between the conductive component. But to our surprise, we found that the conductive component, they normally have a rigid conjugated aromatic backbone. When we add the second component, it induces nano-confined structure formation. And now we could even see such a structure using cryo-EM in solution. We were able to detect such a confined structure. And with such nano-confinement, and then the polymer charge transport mainly is limited by the conformational disorder. Due to the polymer backbone can have these twisting and also bending of the polymer backbone. All of these can act as traps for charge carriers. But when they adapt this nano-confined structure, the polymer backbone is forced to be planarized and also to be linearized. And on the other hand, of course, we have to figure out how to process such film so that during the formation, the nano-confined structures are interconnected without having insulators in between. But if we're able to do that, then we've observed that we get twice or 3 times increase in the charge carrier mobility while gaining the stretchability. So now this becomes a general method. Now we can add self-healing property, biodegradability, all these desirable properties into our polymer semiconductor, but without decreasing the charge transport, but actually having a boost. So that was really important. The other choice is using carbon nanotubes. We have been looking at using conjugated polymers to sort carbon nanotubes for many, many years. And the most recent version is with this degradable polymer that we developed that can selectively sort semiconducting nanotube. And more recently, we found that if after sorting, if we just keep the solution in the fridge for a few days, then additional metallic tubes will precipitate out. Then we get even higher purity, 99.997% purity of carbon nanotube. So that also become another semiconductor we could use for building our integrated circuits. So this is a different generation of integrated circuits that we have been building using this type of materials that we have developed. And of course, they have to be combined with patterning, processing, development. But if we do all of that, then now we have several generations. The first and second generations have performance similar to that of amorphous silicon, but they are all soft and can have high resolution in terms of patterning. And then the latest generation is with carbon nanotube as the semiconductor. And then we see a further enhancement in the charge carrier mobility into the polysilicon level. And now our processing allows us to have a density of device of 100,000 transistors per centimeter square. It's still far from the resolution of silicon integrated circuits, but it's sufficient for us to build miniaturized integrated circuits right next to the sensing front. So that's the generation 3 electronic skin that we recently were finally able to build that contains no rigid component. All the components are made with skin-like soft materials, including the sensors and the integrated circuits. This integrated circuits digitize the signal, converts either pressure information, you see the lower part has the pressure, different pressure, then the small circuit contains 54 transistors, converts the sensing signal into spike train signal. And with temperature change, also it converts into spike train signal. And then this kind of signal, now we show that we can directly take the signal and then stimulate the brain in the segmental-sensory cortex region of the mouse. And then we can record the signal from the motor cortex, which is the signal projected from the segmental-sensory region. And then the motor cortex region signal will instruct our muscle to have movement, a different movement. So now we finally complete the whole circle that electronic skin is supposed to be able to realize. But on the other hand, these integrated circuits could serve for a variety of different applications with around the megahertz level of speed. They can be used as an active matrix for sensing large arrays of sensing arrays to reduce the number of wire connections, and also used for analog to digital conversion, multiplexing, as well as amplification. One question you may ask is that, well, electronic skin is flat, two-dimension, so it's very good to be placed on the surface of the body. But then for implantables, they tend to all have this one-dimensional structures to be inserted in the body to cause minimum invasive to the human body. So how do we really fabricate sensors and integrated circuits onto such kind of one-dimensional structure? So we just placed this work online. Basically, we can perform all the fabrication that we have figured out on the two-dimensional sheet. And the advantage of having soft electronics is that you can deform them, you can roll them up, you can twist them and bend them. They will not damage the electronics or the materials. So we can fabricate all these sensors and integrated circuits down the road, all using conventional techniques that we have been using, and then just simply roll them up. This becomes the neural probe that we implanted into the gut that contains multiple sensors. With this, we can fit in with a 1 millimeter or diameter of 250 micron. We can fit in 150 sensors inside the probe, but also on the external surface. I want to acknowledge another research group simultaneously also have been developing similar approach. So we discussed with each other and we posted the work on the same day on bioRxiv. So I'm very excited that now, finally, for the first time, our soft probe now can record a single neuron activity after implantation into the mouse. And this is the first time really ultra-soft probes that's possible to record single neuron signal, while all the previous work all use high modulus devices. So we think this will be very promising, especially for application in human, where we need long probes go into the deep brain and also implant for long term. So the final aspect I'll quickly mention is really our materials development on skin-inspired materials. So one of the aspects is self-healing polymer. And developing these materials inspired us to start thinking about what other applications we could leverage such material. One particular area is in the battery application. So for the self-healing, to achieve self-healing in these polymers, basically, unlike conventional polymer, they are held together with covalent bonds or covalent cross-linking. The self-healing polymer that we develop, we also call them dynamic polymer networks. So basically, they are held together with hydrogen bonding. These are bonds that are reversible, that can break and reform at room temperature. So this allows us to repair such material. And the other unique aspect of such material is that at long time scale, these materials behave like a liquid, and short time scale, they behave like a solid. So that's why also this is a dynamic material. A very good example is silly putty. If you try to pull it very quickly, it will break like a solid. But if you hold it, then just wait for a little bit, it will drip like a liquid. So this is the type of material we work with. And then the especially important thing is to control the dynamic bonds. And the strength of these bonds can tune the mechanical property of these material. So our first encounter with battery actually started more than 10 years ago. And that time, my colleague, Yi-Cui's group, was working with silicon nanowires to make silicon anode. And the reason is to solve the problem of volume expansion. So we thought, well, that's potentially an area, self-healing polymer may help to address the issue. Basically, we replace the binder with a self-healing polymer. So it maintains contact with the silicon particle. And we found that we were able to actually even use micro size, cheap micron size silicon particle and still be able to get high cycling stability. And more recently, we start to extend that concept into lithium metal anode, where again, volume expansion is a problem. And also, of course, in addition to that, the chemical instability is another challenge to address. But having the self-healing polymer, we found that it dramatically changed the growth behavior of the lithium metal deposition. Basically, we hypothesized it's due to more uniform lithium ion transport through these materials. And also because of the flowable property, it prevents pinhole formation. So you have no pinholes that can form hot spots that can cause the filament growth. We further carried out study to look at the effect of mechanics by systematically changing the hydrogen bonding site. So here we have two kinds of hydrogen bonding site. One produce stronger hydrogen bonding. The other one produce weaker hydrogen bonding. Then we can modulate the ratio of the two to change the dynamics of the polymer. And we found that using these as the coating for lithium anode, then the sweet spot is where these polymers have the viscoelastic behavior. So more flowable behavior gives us a better Coulombic efficiency, and the more solid-like material tends to have lower Coulombic efficiency and more filament-like growth. So finally, combining all these knowledge together, our newest generation of coating for lithium metal, we call it SP2 coating, basically has the feature of flowable property, but also we hypothesized that the solvent molecules are the ones that are really causing the degradation at the lithium metal. So we incorporated molecules to block the solvent from entering to the interface. And then we have this salt-philic unit to promote the transport of lithium ion and also bring the beneficial anions to the interface. So that in this case, we found that actually the SEI at the interface could be regulated by tuning the chemistry of the coating. And then the mechanical property of the coating will remove the pinholes and promote more uniform ion transport. So we're very excited that some of the concept from skin-inspired electronics can actually be applied in a completely different field, makes it very exciting for us to work on all these different areas. So to summarize, here I've shown some examples of materials development and also device system level development for soft electronics. I think soft electronics is the inevitable. Almost 7 years ago, when I met Samsung's CEO, I told him, I said, well, if you can make electronic soft, why still stay with flexible and high modulus electronics? You should just go directly to soft. Then he gave me $10 million to start this program, which I think I'm very grateful actually to be able to develop all these materials with that tremendous support. And the advantage that we see is really the ability for such materials to intimately be able to integrate with human body, but without compromising the performance, without compromising the sensing capability, but rather actually provide enhancement. So that's really the ultimate goal we hope to be able to achieve. And also I hope that by pursuing a longer term vision, potentially can allow us to develop things we never thought about we would be developing. We had lots of surprises that I didn't expect during the course of development of these new materials and new devices, which makes this journey especially enjoyable. Finally, thank you very much again for having me here, and I'll be happy to discuss further. Thank you.
Wow, what a fantastic presentation, Professor Bao. So we're going to move into the Q&A session, and for that, I would like to invite Senior Vice President Colin O'Dwyer to help me facilitate this session. So we'll move over there.
Thank you very much, Professor Bao, for that talk and actually sharing your vision and your recent work with us at the meeting in the ECS community. We have some time for questions and answers. So for members in the audience who'd like to ask Professor Bao a question, there's some microphones in each of the 3 aisles and 2 just at the front, right here. But I'd like to just ask one question first. In a general sense, over your career trajectory, when you look back, what was the most interesting part of the journey in developing a new technology and finding out it has an application, or searching for the application or the need first and then trying to develop the technology to fix it? In your experience, how has that journey changed over time?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of an iterative process. Usually at the beginning, as a scientist, we are curious by certain natural phenomenon. And then we start thinking about ideas. And then once you develop something new, for example, a new material, then as a scientist, as the inventor, you really want to make it to be useful and used by everybody. So then it becomes more kind of seeking for where is the best place to use this material or use this new invention that we come up with. Then that kind of take us into more the application side. But then once you work on application, you find there's so many things you don't understand. And initially, it could be just a naive thinking. And for example, even the self-healing, right, for batteries, initially it was just a naive thinking. But there are so many things that are happening at the fundamental level in those systems. Then once we see something promising, then we start trying to understand what is really happening. And that provides us new knowledge, new information that can allow us to think about the next new idea. So I would say it's really iterative at different stage. There are different things that are most exciting. I think I'm more of a person, I just follow my heart, kind of follow what's exciting at the time, and then we just do it.
Well, you are so excited. I see your passion, and I can see all these ideas come from that passion. You are a prolific inventor. So my question is, behind an invention, there is always a story. Do you have any stories that you want to share with us? When your first patent, your first idea, what was happening? How did it happen? It's always interesting to know behind the story of that. So.
Well, I think after filing so many patents, actually I find it's easy to file a patent, but to make a patent actually to become reality, right? To become a product, or even to license a patent, that's super challenging. Licensing is the most difficult. Large companies do not really want to spend or risk to develop things that are very early stage. So essentially, I find that if we want our technology to go somewhere, then we have to spin-off company ourselves in order to further develop it. Otherwise, the patents are just going to be a pile of papers, and then eventually they will expire. Yeah. So so that's my thoughts about patents.
And when it comes to the polymer development, so you've been doing that for a really, really long time. Do you see any challenges going forward in terms of fluoro-containing polymers, sustainable ones, biodegradability, recyclability? So we're talking about electronics development for many applications, right through to health and integration with bodies. What do you think are the biggest challenges in the future when it comes to the material itself, and what does the industry need to look out for if it develops that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the biocompatibility is a big issue to learn, to study, because now there are so many new materials that are available, and there have been very, very little study about their long-term implications. So I think that's an area of study that's very much needed, and it's not yet done. And certainly the concerns about fluorinated materials, that's a real concern. And so we will have to think about alternatives. And now essentially for the solutions we have, then we always start thinking about a fluorinated version and a non-fluorinated version, and incorporate that early on in the design.
I think we have somebody in the audience to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you very much for your talk. It's really fun to see such a broad swath of development and the steps that it led to where you are now with your group. I'm wondering, so you have the sensors that don't damage the soft tissues inside a mammalian body, and you think, okay, what would be really nice is to have that fully implantable version that either has a power source or a way to access power. Are you working towards that actively right now, and what are the main challenges associated with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so power supply is a big challenge still for implantables and wearables. So the intermediate solution we're working with, of course, the long-term solution is to have batteries that are soft and also implantable, and also potentially maybe batteries that operate in aqueous environment and have all the biocompatible components, but that will be the long-term solution. The shorter-term solution is to make wireless devices, basically RF-powered devices that can have the power through an external device, so that the implanted part doesn't have to carry the chunky batteries, or even for wearables, the power containing part can be put into the clothing, or in the if I have certain sensors, maybe for monitoring sleep, then those powering devices can be embedded into the bed. So those are some of the intermediate solutions.
can ask a quick follow-up. What kind of power draw do you think you would need for these fully embedded devices?
Well, it really depends on the frequency of sensing and also how long the sensing is going to be carried out. But a typical, say, kind of pacemaker, right, can be implanted for 10 years, and the battery can last for 10 years. So the power consumption for these devices can be really, really low, potentially.
Thank you very much.
We have another question from the center.
Hi, Jinan. Great work and amazing talk. Obviously, I think such great work really requires a really strong team as well. I think it's amazing that your group alumni, almost 100, are now faculty. I wanted to ask about your approach to mentorship. How do you shepherd these young scientists and train them up into such great scientists and researchers?
Thanks, Yu Zhang, for the question, and also congratulations to your award. I think also for mentoring, I learned through the process of mentoring student. I think the important thing is, because as one person, it's impossible for me to be able to do all the mentoring I wish I can do. So one of the approach is to really create a culture in the group where everyone in the group is serving as a mentor to each other. Then I can leverage all the expertise in the group to help the student to receive the mentoring that's needed. But that doesn't mean that I don't do my part, but then I can focus on aspects maybe other people's mentoring may not be able to serve. Then we can complement each other in terms of making sure the entire group is most productive and everyone has the best experience possible in the group.
And one more question.
Thank you. No, fascinating work. I was just curious. We talked about skin, and then suddenly the sensing area is going down, right? I would say my back of the head was like your signal strength would go down, so signal to noise might actually degrade, because signal was an area function if you're picking it up. Your length scale for the noise is probably the same. So maybe something else going on. I'm just looking at pure electrical terms. So there's just a suggestion to, for some of the things it might work, for some it might not, just a comment. And just a suggestion, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you could probably be generating a new class of cochlear implants. So.
Thank you. Thanks for the comments.
And I think we have time for just one last question.
Absolutely. Please go.
Thank you for the opportunity. So I think skin is really fascinating in terms of like it's kind of sensing so large area. And so I was wondering from battery perspective, like say battery safety, sensing is really important. But right now, if you realize the sensors, it's kind of like individual sensors, take so many wires, just almost impossible to sense everywhere. I was wondering, is it possible, kind of just like a skin? How can you implement so many sensors? Just a way, it's just so efficient, so small.
Yeah, that's a really great point. When you have many, many sensors, how do you handle so many signal coming to the processor? So one is to have active matrix and be able to, just like our display. And then the other approach is really to learn from our skin to have synaptic junctions, so artificial synaptic junctions where the signal in spike train pattern can be combined at the synaptic junction and then generate patterns in these devices Then this way, instead of having each sensor connected to the processor, then similar as human skin, then we generate the pattern correspond to a certain object. Then this way, it will reduce the power that's needed for the microprocessor to process complicated signal and many sensor signal.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bowen. We really appreciate you having come all the way to Gothenburg to tell us about your work. Thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you, everyone, for staying.
Okay, thank you again to Professor Bao and to Jerry and Colm for monitoring that session. And thanks to everyone for participating in today's ECS Awards ceremony and plenary lecture. Before we wrap, I just want to mention that the 245th ECS meeting will be held in San Francisco, California, May 26th to the 30th, 2024. Abstract submission is actually open right now, and the deadline is December 1st, so please get working on your abstract submissions. We'd love to have them. Also, we hope that you will join us next fall for Prime 2024 in beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, hosted with our partners, the Electrochemical Society of Japan and the Korean Electrochemical Society. So please be on hand for that outstanding event. And you can see the other future ECS meeting dates listed here. Please be sure to mark your calendars for those as well. And most importantly, the exhibit floor is now open, located just downstairs. Hors d'oeuvres and beverages will be available. So join us as we open tonight's technical exhibition and host the first general poster session. Please make it a point to visit our exhibitors listed here. While you're browsing the many posters, the exhibitors are very much waiting to interact and talk with all of you, so please be sure to stop by there. And this officially concludes the ECS Awards and Recognition Ceremony and the ECS Plenary Lecture with Professor Zhainan Bao. Thank you again, Professor. And thank you to everybody here, and I hope you have a fantastic week here in Gothenburg. It's really going to be a great meeting, so we're so glad you're here. Enjoy. Thanks a lot.